from the set of Twilight Zone the Movie, the episode directed by George Miller, the remake of Nightmare at 20,000 Feet with John Lithgow and the creature on the wing of the airplane. So I'm passenger number newlywed guy here with Donna Dixon. And then I landed a Western with Clint Eastwood called Pale Rider. And being on location with Clint Eastwood for 6 weeks in Idaho was just marvelous. Great fun. I got to first make people laugh and then make people cry after Daddy gets killed. Well, what we did on Pale Rider was Clint had the set built on the top of a mountain. So we were exposed to the nature's ferociousness. I don't think it was rarely warmer than 10 below with the wind chill factor, 10 below zero. So we were very, very cold, but wherever Bruce Surtees, the cameraman, set his camera, he had a beautiful view of the Sawtooth Mountains or the White Cloud Mountains or the Salmon River Mountains. So it was a breathtaking movie to watch, but we all froze. Most of the time, where the actors are huddled around these giant heat cannons, and we're there huddled, and the assistant director says, "You're wanted on set," and it's like, "No, we don't want to leave these heaters." In the scene where Daddy gets shot, brother and I are in the Mercantile watching, screaming, "Daddy, no!" It took us 3 days to shoot the one scene. If you look closely at the film where Spider, our father, is being shot, he's in sunshine. When it cuts to us at the Mercantile, we're in a blizzard. And finally, when we get to his dead body, all the snow had melted, so they had to bring in the oil-based fake snow. And you can tell when Blankenship, the Mercantile, Richard Hamilton, comes to collect the boys in the dead body, the snow is picked up by the wind and flies away in clumps, and snow doesn't act like that. So the magic of Hollywood, if you look very closely, you can see this is the blizzard, and then in the very next shot, we're in sunshine again. But the cuts are so quickly, the editor did a magnificent job. So continuing this would be the same year that Back to the Future was made, 84. Then I did a stint as Screech's guru on Saved by the Bell, the high geek, with Dick Van Dyke on Diagnosis Murder, and he was close friends with Stan Laurel, and I played Stan Laurel for 15 years at Universal. And I've also played Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx, with Spielberg there. And this is getting into some makeup for old George McFly. Now originally, I got the call to be Crispin's photo double stand-in. And it was my makeup artist, Ken Chase, who said, Crispin's out. Crispin's out, you're going to be George, which I couldn't fathom because he did such a great job on the first film. I already knew Crispin, I'd worked with him on a film, and I couldn't fathom how they were going to make the film without him. But lo and behold, the magic of makeup. Here's a little bit of trivia. The first time I saw Michael as Marlene, as my granddaughter, my head, of course, was butt level with Marlene's butt. and they put Marlene in these orange hot pants, and I thought, because they stuffed her bottom a little, she looked like a little pumpkin, so I improvised the line, "How's Granddad's little pumpkin?" It took us a long, long time. This was probably one of our longest days. I think this was one of the 23-hour, 21-hour long shoot days, because if you remember, Leah Lorraine at this point is changing the view on the window. And we could not do that effect without there being a flicker from the projector that was projecting the view. And Zemeckis was going out of his mind trying to get around that special effect. Finally, we were sent to our third dinner. I think it was about 3 in the morning. And we came back and Bob Z said, "Leah, why don't you do your line to the camera, pull the cord out, and slowly let it go, and that'll give us time for the flicker to go off before seeing it." And sure enough, it worked, and we finally got dismissed to go home and go to bed for another 6 hours before having to be back in the makeup trailer. Each one of the makeups, young George, age 17, old George, age 77 in part 2, and middle-aged George, age 47 in part 3, took 4 hours to apply. So to be on set, say, by 9 in the morning, I had to be in the makeup chair by 4 in the morning. After a couple hours of putting the makeup on, I get a 20-minute break for maybe a breakfast burrito, and then back for coloring and wig application. And let's carry on. This is how they wanted me to take breaks. I'm serious, if you want to go back there a second. They said it took too much time to get me down from the wires and everything. So the gentleman from ILM put this little resting board on a ladder. They'd have me do a sit-up after we get a take, slide this underneath me, and then everyone would leave and I'd be alone on set just twiddling my thumbs. I recently learned why George was hanging upside down. Anyone know this or hear this? Yes? I got the microphone, you can speak into it.
Is it because you could tell there was a difference there, so that when you're upside down it kind of skewed your opinions? Not many people knew it was actually...
Nope. No, a lot of people believe it was because there was a different actor. They purposely put the actor upside down to skew, make you think that, you know, he doesn't look right, but he's okay. No, that's not the reason. And in the story, a car fell out. Yes.
I think it's because he had an accident before that.
Yes,
and that's why he had hung upside down.
In the story, one of the first versions, there was an accident. Well, I think the one that stayed in for the longest was that a flying car had fallen out of the sky while George was out playing golf or something. In one version, I looked at my script recently at Paradox. Part 2 and Part 3 were in the same script called Paradox. And in one version, Marty is in the ortholev.
Yeah.
And he had his accident playing squash or something. No, actually, I only recently heard this. Crispin, on the first film, often, you know, you have marks for camera on the floor, and he would often come in and miss his mark. He'd either overshoot it or undershoot it. And by having him hanging upside down and on this track, the track that the wires were running on, ran from outside the front door all the way through the living room and through the dining room to the kitchen. This way, Bob Zemeckis could control Crispin's moves, and he would always be on mark. Robert Zemeckis was amazing to work with. He, like so many great directors, cast very well. He knows great talent. On his crew, he's got dedicated professionals that think ahead of him what he may need, and he just sort of sits back and solves problems. I'm a huge fan of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I said, Bob, you gonna make a sequel? He goes, I don't know. I said, why? Because it's so complicated working with animation and live action? He goes, no, not so much. I got more complicated effects on this film than he had on Roger Rabbit, which is unfathomable. But this is one of the reasons Back to the Future was successful and why it was also so complicated. This VistaVision camera here, Leo would probably hate knowing that she's in her underwear in this shot, but there she is. Anyway, this camera would actually splice the film inside the camera. So when we did the footage at the dining table, past the iced tea, I think it was, where Marty Jr. passes, or Marlene passes to Marty, who passes to Marty Jr. the iced tea. Literally, it was a 26-hour long day.
Wow.
To shoot that, because we had to set the blocking, and then once we got one take of Michael in one of the characters, say as Marlene, then we had to break for 3 hours so she could turn into Marty Jr. or Marty Sr. And during those 3 hours we were still working. We get coverage, other shots, but then we'd come back and then shoot it again with the precise blocking so hands would match and all. And there's footage that is in the bonus material of this scene. I think, could we switch to the pizza? If you don't have the DVD with the bonus material, you haven't seen this before. This is the deleted pizza scene.
Can't hydrate a pizza. No, I'm sorry, I missed that whole thing.
Well, I thought it'd be nice if we threw a little party.
Now, Mom, before we throw any more parties for Uncle Joey, let's wait to see if he makes two.
George, will you rotate your axis? It's not good for your digestion to eat while you're inverted.
Okay, dear. 4.
You call him. You call him.
Okay.
Marlene, honey, pass the coat. No, I don't want to, so nump off.
Marlene, don't talk to your father that way.
Grandma, I'm on the phone, okay? I'd like some tea, please. Look, I'm gonna have to call you back.
I still think we shouldn't have started eating dinner without
Damn it, Marlene, pass the damn kelp tea.
Why isn't she home yet?
I'm not sure where Jennifer is, Mom. Should have been home hours ago, but I'm having a hard time keeping track of these days.
Fruit,
She's one of those
please.
moods, I guess.
Thank you.
Aren't you and Jennifer getting along?
So, several different things going on there. For the first time, you see George rotate his axis. One of the things that didn't work, I'm in a body cast with the costume on over it. And outside of the body cast comes a pipe that went through the set with a wheel on it for the Teamsters to spin me on when I go forward. Doing my tribute laugh to Crispin. And the costume, I think, looked too bulky. And also, when Leah Lorraine serves the pizza, she serves it on the floor. And there's no room at the table, really, for George. So they cut it out of the film. But here you got to at least see this, and this is the behind the scenes being cinched into that body cast. Also, you get to see, briefly, the complexification, that's a new word, of Michael playing the multiple roles. Michael had Kevin Holloway was his photo double, Bobby Bennett was his stand-in, and Charlie Coughlin was his stunt double. And all of those guys were playing those different roles at the table when he was being the principal one. So that it was very complex, very long hours to get it just right. And during the shoot, one night we, of course, in Los Angeles have an earthquake. And that camera is locked down. And if things are messed up, we came in the morning after the earthquake and Zemeckis thought we were going to have to start from scratch after getting most of that shot in. Luckily, the editors found a way to get over that hump, and they didn't have to reshoot. So there's another bit that was cut that I did. Earlier on, Lorraine tells Marlene to give your granddad a piece of fruit. And, fruit please, and it comes down, and Marlene gives George, me hanging upside down, a banana. And I tried to eat the banana upside down, and the peel kept slapping me in the face. And it was very funny. Zemeckis thought it was funny, but it didn't stay in, and only stills exist from that. I have maybe a couple with me. If anyone wants that rare still, come see me at my table. The fans have been incredibly wonderful to me. I get fan art. I've had the old George McFly action figure 3D printed for me, and there are a couple out there that they won't sell to me, but I still want, because they're only one of a kind. Funko hasn't come out with the little guy yet of me. And here you can see Kevin and Bobby, Michael's two doubles, and me telling Michael he's got boogers in his nose. This is about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning where they got me down because I really needed a rest. Here's the young George makeup close up. As you can see, full front, it doesn't necessarily look like Crispin, but the profile really does. You can tell it was from his life mask. So Crispin called after part 3 came out and said, what they did to me was not fair. And I was shocked to know that they didn't pay him for the use of his likeness. So I gave him these photos, and he won an out-of-court settlement of about $750,000. This is not Michael J. Fox. That's Kevin Holloway, his photo double. And then a day on part 3 is middle-aged George. And then being discovered by the fans for trilogy screenings and fan cons. I was pretty much in obscurity for many years because Universal didn't want anyone to know about me, my work, because they were trying to get away without having to pay for the licensing. But luckily, the fan cons have discovered me, and you, the fans, I have to thank very much for having me here. I love it. Thank you, Jason.